I'm Flavio Manzoni. I'm a designer, creative. I really love creating new products. I love also sketching. I love creating works of art. And I'm a head of Ferrari design since 2010. I'm a very curious person. I'm also stubborn because I'm Sardinian, I'm a Capricorn as well. Very determined, but at the same time, I know what perfection means. Perfection means, first of all, humility, curiosity, passion, and tenacity as well. Studying architecture for me was very important because for me it represents one element of my creativity which is very important, which is the, let's say, the kind of cross-functional approach. I never think in a very, let's say, specialized way, never think in a fanatic way. I really like to find the connections between all the different fields of creativity. Architecture, art, music, design, car design, and so on. I always try to avoid the commonplaces of, for example, car design. And I love introducing new ideas, new concepts, starting from another vision, another perspective. When I was young, I was a young boy, I was very eclectic. I really loved making everyday different objects, creating different, let's say, paintings or sculptures or car designs and so on. So my curiosity was always very, the span of my curiosity was always very broad, very large, and it was necessary for me to know more. And I was also convinced that somehow the idea of this idea of the Gesamtkünstler, the artista totale, the total artist of Gropius was probably my destiny. I wanted to be a total artist. Sketching for me has been always a way to communicate. So I started sketching when I started learning, let's say, talking. And thanks to my father, because my father was really a role model for me. He was a very good architect. He was a great sketcher with an incredible style. His way to sketch, also his calligraphy was so beautiful. So it was a constant inspiration for me. Okay, so I learned very, very quickly how to, let's say, represent, or let's say how to project in the reality my imaginations. So the forms and the concepts that I was imagining. So I didn't really use this way to research. I used this way to represent, to reflect my imagination on paper, on the reality. I still remember very well when my father, I was still in the primary school, in the 4th year of the primary school, and my father, let's say, taught me about perspective. So, perspective, and he explained me everything, how does it work, okay? And then I started sketching in perspective since I was a very young boy. And it was such an incredible surprise for me because I was used to represent things in an orthogonal way, and I had the impression that everything was wrong. So I really So it was a very important step for me. Another fact that I can tell you probably was the same here. I had in my school there was the teacher of art and let's say and fine arts, let's say. And the first day that he saw me, I was on my desk and I was sketching a car, an Alfa Romeo. And he asked me, "What are you doing?" And I said, I'm sketching the rear of this car that has been just presented. I don't like the rear, I don't like the rear lights, so I'm redesigning them." So I was a little bit sick already, okay. I also think I was very lucky about that, because I really decided not to make any kind of studies in car design, because I was very curious. Every day I was looking at the works of many other designers like Giugiaro, Pininfarina. I was collecting all the sketches of Giugiaro that, by the way, were absolutely stunning. Consider also that I was born in 1965, and this is the period where most of the, let's say, utopian visions of the cars of the future were, let's say, were created by, for example, visual futurists like Sid Mead or Italian coach builders. No, the famous dream cars like the Modulo, the Stratos, and so on were really fascinating for me, because they represented an idea of future. Also because I was also very passionate about technical aspects. Technology for me was very important. All the elements of the technological innovation were important. I was constantly studying. I was curious about, for example, how atomic submarine is working, or how a jet is working. And I think it's probably this kind of culture that made me so curious. This is matter of responsibility. When you work for such an incredible brand with this heritage, you must be very conscious about what, let's say, excellence means. Okay, and even if all our cars are so successful in the market, and also the opinion of the journalists is so high, I mean, there is such a high recognition of our work, I always think about what about the next 30, 40 years, how our cars will be perceived in the future. We work very fast, not because we want it, but because of course it's a necessity. I mean, there is a very clear, let's say, creative and engineering process at Ferrari, which has, of course, certain milestones that we have to respect. But nevertheless, I think that working with a certain rhythm is also important for the creativity, because if the process is too long, the risk is to somehow lose the passion. Instead, it's nice when we are all together with my team, working very, eagerly on several proposals and several concepts, especially at the beginning of the project. It's so beautiful. Then another phase, which is the development of the best concept, the best idea, which takes many months, of course, where probably the aim is more let's say, is to protect the beauty of the idea and to make it feasible. So to, let's say, industrialize it, to make it feasible, and to somehow finalize the project with really respecting the intention, the initial intention. So it's fast, but it's correct. And I think we are Italians, and we like also to work in a very proactive way, not slowly, but in a very passionate and proactive way. Well, we decided to make a very special car. We could call it a one-off. It's a special livery with an artistic touch that we made for the presentation of the Ferrari Foundation that will be on the 17th of October. I think the idea is really strong, because the concept is, let's try to connect the beginning of the creative process with the end. So we can, on that car we can see the final form, but we can also see the sketch that originated that idea. This important aspect of the hand. The hand is the tramite, the medium to, let's say, to transfer your idea to the reality. But it's also, I mean, for a musician, for an artist, it's a way to, let's say, to connect your brain, your spirit, and your hand. Okay, and I never forget the importance of the virtuosity of that. This is a very important moment when you touch the paper, or let's say the virtual paper, and you transfer your idea. Is absolutely the most creative moment. So, and I like the fact that you can see in one glance the two elements, the first sketch and the final result. By the way, I just I came back from USA where I spent some days in Los Angeles visiting many beautiful villas of the, I mean, mid-century architecture, and I was, of course, I was trying to understand how the genius of certain architects, like I don't know, Frank Lloyd Wright or Schindler or Laudner, and many others were able to create. The Hollyhock House is already so modern, and you can also see beautiful sculptures in the garden that are, of course, very consistent with the spirit of the house, that are really advanced for the time. But I mean, it's always matter of serendipity, you know. You visit a place like that, and you see not only the architectural composition of the object, but also the spirit of the genius loci, the spirit of the site, how the architecture is consistent with the environment, for example. Every time I can, I go outside and I want to see other stuff. I don't want to see cars. I want to catch the spirit of another project, architecture, art, design, product design, whatever, and trying to understand the origin of the idea, the origin of the concept, the inspiration. And also I want to know exactly the life and the motivations of the artist. For example, in Los Angeles, I had the chance to meet in person Frank Gehry, who is 95 years old, in his studio, who is still working every day. And I could see all his projects, all his models, the mock-ups in this huge studio. I mean, this was one of, it made my day, you know. It's something that I bring here in my heart, in my soul, that I can somehow use as an inspiration for my next projects. I really love jazz, but for a simple reason, because jazz is art which happens in let's say, in real time. So I really admire the let's say, masters of jazz like Bill Evans or like Keith Jarrett and many others that are able to create, to invent in front of an audience. For example, Keith Jarrett is a great example of music that happens in front of an audience, and that you cannot repeat. But this is, here there is the fuoco, there is the fire of the creativity, but there is also the expertise of the musician. I think there is a very strong connection with the work that we make every day here. When we talk about a new Ferrari, I think there are always three aspects that we have to consider. That one is the technological innovation, the other one is the thrills of driving, and the third one is the beauty. We cannot imagine a Ferrari without these three aspects. The more I understand what's the purpose or what's the aim of a new project, the more we can understand together with engineers this set of technical solutions that is, let's say, necessary to achieve, to reach that goals. And step by step, my team and I, we somehow figure out how this car can appear. We can imagine different forms, different interpretations of the same concept, but this relationship between function, performance and beauty is always present, is always important. We never make any kind of element which is, which is not a function. We cannot make this. A Ferrari is real design. Instead, if you look around, especially in car design, you can see how many fake elements are belonging to other cars. For me, this is not design, this is styling. Next is, for me, is creativity, invention in every direction, okay? Not only about car design, because we are also engaged on other type of projects. But for me, it's also, thinking about this evening when I will be at home and I can play the piano, I can start a new song. Because when I start a new song, normally it's a song where I can learn the creative process that made this song possible. So it's a continuous creative stream where I live.